We have a special guest to join us at the start of today's episode of the show. He's got some busy TV hits coming up as well. He's our Pro Football Network NFL reporter and director. He is Adam Beasley, obviously a long time covering the Dolphins beat. Bees, the optics here for the Miami Dolphins in the last 2 weeks have suddenly changed with two power moves in the last 24 hours. Teron Armstead now a tackle there for them, and now they big-time trade for Tyreek Hill. How you doing, man?
Trying to catch my breath, Cody. It's been one hell of a week. Like, think about this. What is it? 2 o'clock here in the East Coast on Wednesday. So nearly 7 full days ago is when the league year began. And of course, a lot of those deals were already done and they could only be made official at 4 p.m. last Wednesday. But think of all the seismic changes in the National Football League in the last 7 days, and the hits just keep on coming.
The NFL Richter scale has definitely been a 10.0 so far this offseason. Tommy Garrett and I were on a PFN Daily Spaces a little bit earlier on Twitter, and one of the things we talked about too, just a couple of weeks ago, I think there was a lot of uncertainty about what's next for the Miami Dolphins, especially talking about, hey, you need to add a wide receiver that has breakaway speed that you can complement alongside Jalen Waddle. Well, hey, they go out and they do that today by trading away, some assets. They traded away 5 assets, 3 in 2022, a 2022 first-round pick, second-round pick, fourth-round pick, 2023 fourth and sixth-round pick. Now, Adam, obviously, this is a great move for the Dolphins, and they have loaded up on offense, especially with Raheem Mostert added as a running back, Chase Edmonds, and Mike Gesicki coming back. Jalen Waddle entering year 2, now Tyreek Hill. Do you feel like they gave up too much here for one player, though?
Well, not all first-round picks are the same, right? 29th overall is a lot different than 9th overall. They gave up way more to get Jalen Waddle last year than they did to get Tyreek Hill this year. They gave up 2 true ones to move up from 12 to 6 to get Waddle. So when you look at it from that lens, it's actually pretty solid value. Now, you see that first and the second next to it, it kind of makes you shudder a little bit. But the compensation the Dolphins offered was reportedly very close to what the Jets were offering. The Jets were offering a couple of seconds. So again, not all first-round picks are the same. There's an added kind of, when you do the value calculation, that's something you have to consider. The 4-year, $120 million contract extension that makes Tyreek one of the, if not the highest paid wide receiver ever to walk the planet. So they gave up certainly some draft assets, draft capital to get him, but they also gave up a big chunk of their salary cap. Tyreek Hill has to work. He has to be really, really good. He has to be Kansas City 2020 level. Maybe 2019 level for this trade to work. But when you look at all the pieces the Dolphins now have, Jalen Waddle, you mentioned, Mike Gesicki, who's a top 10 tight end, split in the seam. They went out and they signed Teron Armstead late last night, one of the 5 best left tackles in football. They went out and they added 2 really good running backs in Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds. They have a fullback now. Really, everything is there for Tua Tagovailoa to succeed. There are absolutely no excuses anymore for him. He's in year 3. He's with the best offensive mind he's ever been surrounded by. He's got the most talent he's ever been surrounded by. He has had the most experience he's ever had. If he doesn't show up this year, I don't think he ever will.
Well, and Tyler Olson in the chat up above says, put up or shut up time for Chris Greer and Tua Tagovailoa. Matt Infante says, no more excuses for Tua. He has a very good supporting cast to prove he is indeed the guy, and the Dolphins still have 2 first-round picks in 2023 to potentially find his replacement if he's not, which I think it puts the Dolphins in a really good situation right now. And we're talking about it now. Now Tua's in a situation where he gets this year. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder. Not like Teddy Bridgewater is going to come in and like creep that fear into Tua's mind here. I hope Dolphins I said, I watched Teddy Bridgewater. Dolphins fans should be concerned if Teddy ever has to play this season for them. He's a guy that you can win with, not because though, right? So there is that I will throw out there. Now, in your opinion, we look at the AFC East. I still think everyone views the Buffalo Bills as, hey, they're still the top spot until somebody knocks them off. But now I think the Dolphins have a legitimate case to be the number 2 team inside that division, and they could potentially challenge the Buffalo Bills for that top spot. How do you feel about their placement right now in the division on paper, at least?
Well, I think you're right. The Bills are still the 600-pound gorilla in that division. That's not going to change so long as they have Josh Allen playing at that level and a defense that just keeps getting better. They signed Von Miller in the offseason. But I do think you're right. I think the number 2 spot is up for grabs. The Patriots, did they max out what they could do with Mac Jones last year? Is there another step for him? We don't know. We don't know what the year 2 development is going to look like for him. Certainly the second half of the season wasn't as impressive as the first half for Mac Jones. But I think you need to look at what the Dolphins are doing in even a wider lens. And you have to look at the entirety of the AFC. And you mentioned the 3 teams. I don't think anyone thinks the Jets are going to be competitive in the AFC East. Look at the 3 teams in the AFC East. Look at the 2 teams, obviously, In the AFC South, Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. The Titans were, I believe, in the AFC Championship game last year that the Colts went out and got Matt Ryan. Then you look at the AFC North, loaded again. Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals were in the Super Bowl. I think the Steelers might take a step back, but then the Cleveland Browns went out and got Deshaun Watson. So you're talking about, of those three divisions we just discussed, 8 of those 12 teams are going to compete for the playoffs. Oh, wait, there's more. There's the best division that I've personally ever seen, and that's the AFC West. Look, the Raiders got substantially better in the AFC West this year, and they might be a distant 4th. That's how good that division is. So at the very least, there are 11, maybe 12 teams in the AFC that you do not want to play. There are no bye weeks, really, unless you play the Jets or in the AFC South. There are no bye weeks anymore in the AFC. You're going to see a lot of teams, I think, bunched in the 10-7, 9-8, maybe 11-6 range. I think all those teams, because the conference is so deep and so good, we're going to see a playoff hunt like we've never seen before. I remember last year coming on your show every week and talking about how insane it was and how, there were 12 of the 16 teams still had a chance with 3 weeks to go or 2 weeks to go. I think it's going to be 12 of the 16 teams are going to have a chance on week 17 or 18 or whatever it is now. They've gone to the 17-week season. So it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. And I will say this, Tom Brady looks really smart coming out of retirement, going back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because there are like 4 good teams in the NFC. Like, if you want a path to the Super Bowl, go to the NFC, because the AFC is absolutely, it's too full. It's loaded.
No, it's going to be an exciting gauntlet to watch. And look, I think it makes the additional playoff game now, especially in the AFC, I think it makes it a little bit more exciting, because I know we talked about, it wasn't as competitive initially in that wild card round with that 7th seed getting in, but now, hey, with how top heavy the AFC has become, I'm excited. It's going to be an absolute blood sport in 2022. Adam, I wish we could just press the fast forward button, be there in the NFL season right now as is, but unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until the launch of the season in September. But in the meantime, check out Adam and all the Pro Football Network's NFL teams, Dalton Miller, Mike Kay, Aaron Wilson, Adam Beasley's work over at ProFootballNetwork.com. Adam, I know you got a TV spot here in a moment. Can't wait to see that as well. Good luck, my friend. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of the show.
And we're only 5 weeks away from the draft.
Oh, see, the NFL never sleeps. It never does. It is king in all things. It is Adam Beasley. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode